Hey friends, God bless you. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Today's guest, Brigitte Gabriel, founder and chairman of Act for America. This is the largest national security grassroots organization in the U.S., over 2 million members. We're going to talk about the overwhelmed immigration system, which has become a crisis, and that's next on Worldview Matters.
Welcome to Worldview Matters, discussing controversial issues, discerning current events, defending biblical Christianity. No topic off limits. And now, here's your host, David Fiorazzo.
So, friends, we're going to be jumping into the topic. Very important issue here. And what will the Trump administration do? How much can they fix? We'll get to Brigitte Gabriel in a minute, but the website, actforamerica.org. We've got a couple more days left of our winter, I call it Christmas/winter fundraiser. And you keep us going for the next 6 months. And I want to thank Brian from Zebulon, North Carolina, just became a monthly donor. Thank you, Brian. We'll give you an opportunity to, give your donation. About halfway through, we'll give you the website and some details. We want to give you a gift as a thank you to those who are praying for us and keeping us going. So let's bring in Brigitte Gabriel, founder and chairman of Act for America. Their mission is to educate, engage, train, and mobilize citizens to ensure safety and security of Americans against all threats, foreign and domestic, while preserving civil liberties guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. Prior to moving to the U.S. in 1989, Brigitte lived in Israel and worked as a news anchor for World News. You might not know that about her. That was an Arabic news broadcast. And she is also a New York Times bestselling author of 3 books. One is Rise, in defense of Judeo-Christian values and freedom. She is named one of the top 50 most prominent speakers in America. And by the way, she speaks Arabic, French, English, and Hebrew. Her other book, I took this off my bookshelf from several years ago, Because They Hate. Great, important information. Brigitte Gabriel, thank you so much for your time. Good to see you, sister.
Thank you. Delighted to be back with you, David.
It's a blessing. So we got through Christmas. We're into a new year here, early January. The inauguration hasn't happened yet. There is a lot of work that has to be done. And I want to get just your overall comments on the fact that, as we talked before the podcast, a lot of people have a tendency to relax after an election, especially they did their part and they voted. Hopefully, Christians voted. Well, we know the numbers on that. But enough of them voted to give Trump a mandate. And now a lot of people go, okay, the work is done. But it is not done. There are so many issues. You have a lot of policy issues on your website, actforamerica.org, a lot of initiatives where people can get involved and take action. So your overall comments on that, and direct us to whatever you would like on your website.
Well, thank you, David, for leading with this question, because you're absolutely correct. On our side, after an election, everybody relaxes and they say, whew, okay, we worked so hard. We elected President Trump. Now it's over. He's going to fix everything. Yeah. And I heard those words specifically after his first election in 2016. I remember meeting with a major donor and I said, we have a 4-year window of opportunity to mobilize the grassroots. And he said to me, oh, Brigitte, I'm not worried about anything. Trump won. He's going to fix it all. We have nothing to worry about. And look what we ended up dealing with. Indivisible was established, which is the grassroots army committed to defeating Trump and destroying Trump, that was launched in 2016. And look at the damage that they have done. So right now, because President Trump got elected, we need to make sure that now we are ready for battle. Now the battle starts. Because if you think it's going to be a cakewalk, affirming all his appointees, getting them into place, if you think he's going to be very happy to welcome DOGE, the new department headed by Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy, who are going to fire almost 50% of the government, you have something else going. Now is the time. We need to be informed about what we can do to stand with President Trump, make sure all his appointees make it to their designated positions, and make sure we have the grassroots firepower to put enough pressure on elected officials to let them do their job. Let these appointees do their job. Let Kash Patel launch the investigations into the sham January 6th committee, and let them clean the FBI, and let them get into the Department of Defense and clean it up, and let them get into the Department of Justice and clean it up. So the way we're going to do that is I'm going to ask all of you now to go to actforamerica.org right now. Sign up to receive our emails and action alerts. We're going to be sending you action alerts as the Congress reconvenes in January 3rd, letting you know when they start these hearings about the confirmation hearings, and letting you know what elected official to email. We'll even have an email prepared for you, designated directly going to the elected officials. We're going to bombard petitions prepared for you directed to Congress, social media posts with one click of a button. You can post it on your Twitter, X, Facebook, whatever social media you use. And also we're going to give you their phone number so you can call elected officials with already pre-written script so they can hear the pressure from you to make sure they stand with President Trump and let him get his policy implemented. So go to actforamerica.org right now. Sign up to receive our emails and action alerts. We need to stand with our president starting January 1st, not January 20th, because that's when Congress reconvenes and they start the hearings and they start putting the committees together, and we need to be there to support them.
Thank you, Brigitte. And by the way, you guys made it very easy for people on your website, so no excuses. you got the emails ready to go, and so right. I really encourage people to check that out.
And one important point, David, that a lot of people don't realize, they think, we've got Trump for the next 4 years. He's going to fix everything. We only have 18 months, 16 to 18 months. That's it. Because we need to fix and get done whatever we need to get done within the next 2 years before the midterm election.
That's right.
We're only guaranteed the next 16 months where we have Congress, the Senate, and the White House. Because God knows what's going to happen in the midterm. So if we lose the House in the midterm, if we lose the Senate in the midterm, you don't know. So we've got 16 to 18 months to get anything that we need to get done. And that's where your activism and engagement are vital for the next 16 months.
Wow, that's pretty sobering when you think about it. The midterms. And
That's
I know
right.
people might have election fatigue or whatever it might be, campaign, all the ads and all the nonsense, the lies that go on. But this is what we have to do as believers in America. We've got to engage. We've got to keep fighting the good fight because it's a battle. Freedom is a battle. And we're talking about one of the battles we talk about, and you have Stop the Invasion on your website. Ronald Reagan said a nation that cannot control its borders is not a nation. And I remember Michael Savage and others talking about borders, language, culture, focusing on these important issues. So one of the issues I wanted to get your take on, Brigitte, and by the way, your book, Because They Hate, tells your story. And friends, if you missed our previous interview with Brigitte Gabriel, go to worldviewmatters.tv, and in the search, type in Brigitte Gabriel, and she shared her story and a little bit more of that. It is amazing how you got through all that when you were growing up and you came to America. What a blessing now, the work that you're doing. So I want to play a couple clips for you. One of them, actually, both of them are from former acting Secretary of Homeland Security Chad Wolf. And he was just recently on with Eric Stakelbeck on Stakelbeck Tonight, and he talked about his concerns about the border. And I want to hear Chad Wolf's response, and then we'll get your comments on it, Brigitte.
Obviously, we are in 4 years. We're at the end of the 4th year of the Biden and Harris administration, where we've seen open border policies create and fuel a crisis that this country has never seen before. And so we've seen millions of folks come across that border illegally, almost all of them being released into the United States. So in American communities, and that includes obviously public safety threats, national security threats, such as known or suspected terrorists. It includes MS-13 gang members, TDA members. It includes a variety of folks that are committing crimes here in the United States. So pretty bad all around. Over the course of 4 years, we've seen upwards of 10 to 11 million individuals come across that border, probably another 2 to 4 million of what we call gotaways that we never apprehend. We don't know exactly who they are or where they go. And so I think obviously President Trump talked a lot about this on the campaign trail. The American people agreed with him and felt that this was a crisis, and the current status quo that we see needs to change. And I think you're going to see that change come January of 25.
So, Brigitte, there will be change coming January 25th. Your thoughts on some of the information he was sharing and his concerns about the border?
Well, you're talking to a legal immigrant. So for us legal immigrants who had to do it by the book, where, if you want to come to a country, you go to the embassy, you knock on the door, say, I would like to visit your home, the United States. Could you please grant me a visa? They say, sure, you're welcome. We'll give you a visa. You come, you pay for your own airline ticket. You come to the United States. You start the papers. You pay for your attorneys. You are law-abiding citizen. You don't break the law. We take blood work. We pay for our blood work, because I remember when I became a citizen, when I went through the naturalization process, I had to take blood tests to make sure I'm not bringing leprosy into the United States, tuberculosis to the United States. And I had the luxury of paying out of my own pocket for all my doctor's visit and my blood works and the result, and submitting them and having my attorney submit the papers. But that was a part of becoming an American citizen. And then once I got the green card, I had to wait 4 to 5 years. Meanwhile, I had to study a 2-inch thick book written by the Daughters of the American Revolution about America's history, our Constitution, our judicial process. And I had to take an exam in English, a written exam in English, as well as a verbal exam in English, about our Constitution, about our history, our judicial process, etc., and pass in order for me to become an American. So people like me who did it by the book, watch what's happening at the border, and you can see fire coming out of our ears, because we are livid that people like us who did it by the book, and we're so proud to earn the American citizenship, to abide by the law, to create jobs, to prosper, to save money, to pay our taxes. We proudly did it because it was finally we made it to heaven. Finally, we are part of the American system, and we pay our taxes because in our mind we feel paying taxes is like paying rent to the country in which you live for all the benefits that you get from that country. We did all that, and we do it gladly. So when we watch the lying, cheating criminals, gangbanger, killers, rapists, murderers waltz into our country with the red carpet rolled out to them, by the way, by our government, and then as soon as they arrive, we fly them for free, or put them on a bus, luxury bus, for free to whatever destination they want to go to. We give them a cell phone. We put them up in a $3,500 a night luxury hotel in New York City or whatever, or LA or whatever. And then we give them Nintendos, games, because God forbid they should get bored. And then we are paying for that. The American taxpayers are paying for that. So for people like me and the many immigrants who are in this country, legal immigrants, are watching this in disgust. And that's why we are working, my organization, Act for America, working very hard on securing the border. We worked with the Trump presidency when he first was elected president on his immigration policy. I worked very closely with Tom Homan, who's a very close friend. And I tell you, comes January 20th, we cannot be in better hands than the hands of Tom Homan and President Trump.
I've heard a lot of wonderful things about Tom Homan, so I'm really encouraged with that pick, and also a lot of other cabinet positions that have already been in the works. But Brigitte, you survived Islamic terror. You have a better idea than most of us what kind of person comes across the border illegally, other than maybe the women and children, which is the minority of numbers, young children or women. But we see all these pictures and videos of a lot of males fighting age in their 20s or 30s. You're going, this is really interesting. These are not families. So where do you think, we haven't heard a lot about some of these could be hundreds of thousands, dangerous terrorists that have come across the border. We haven't heard where they ended up. We don't know what they're plotting. What are your thoughts on what we might be able to expect? Or can you just give us just an idea of what we might be looking at down the road? Because it seems like there's a lot that has happened at the border. A lot of them have come across the border.
Well, of the terrorists that we know about who have crossed the border, we know that many more we have not captured who are here. And according to Tom Homan, he estimates around 600,000 terrorists and people of shady background with links to terrorism are already in the country. We know, I mean, look, we already have in jail about 200 of them, but 200 is nothing compared to the numbers of the people who snuck in and the people who came in that we don't even know that they came in. And that is dangerous because when you look at the people coming through the border, it's not just the Mexicans who are coming in. The word is out on the street for years. The Chinese know about it. The Iranians know about it. The Syrians know about it. The Lebanese know about it. We have captured people from all sorts of countries trying to sneak into our border and are here. So we know they are here. And the concern right now, like what I heard about the drones flying in, all these drones over our cities right now. And the reason why the government doesn't want to tell the people what's going on, they are actually monitoring any radioactive material that's floating out because they are afraid that somebody had snuck either nuclear material into the country through the border, radiation material through the border, or that they have access into something like this, and that's why they are flying around those bases. Wow. That's the reason for these drones, and the government is not being honest and upfront with the American public because they don't want to scare the American public. But there are all sorts of theories about why these drones are out there. And we are concerned because, look, if China wants to harm America, and we know they do want to harm America, if Iran wants to harm America, and we know they do want to harm America, these people are here by the tens of thousands. We do not know where they are. We do not know their names. We do not know what they are up to. And it's a major concern for the country.
Oh my goodness, there's so much going on. And so that woke up a lot of people, I think, what you just shared just now. People that were ready to relax and go, okay, I don't have to do anything for the next 4 years. Well, we've got, yes. So we've got to take a brief pause. We're with Brigitte, Gabriel, actforamerica.org. We'll be right back on Worldview Matters.
Today's show is brought to you by Harbinger's Daily, world news biblically understood. Stay informed at harbingersdaily.com.
Hey friends, we're still running another campaign to ask for your generosity with helping support production costs for Worldview Matters for the next 6 months. And so far, so good. It's going very, very well thanks to your prayers. But if you're able to contribute, for example, a one-time gift of $200 or a recurring gift of $25 a month, we would love to thank you by sending you a commemorative rose gold pen set branded with Worldview Matters. I love it. They're really high-quality pens. I use it. And I've also, first-time donors receive this mug, Worldview Matters, on my tagline on the back: keep speaking the truth about things that matter. Don't put it in the dishwasher. But you can go to worldviewmatters.tv to make your tax deductible gift. Thank you and God bless you. Brigitte, Gabriel, we've got a lot of information on what has come across the border, but I think one thing that gets overlooked and we don't hear as much in the news is the fentanyl crisis. I've got another clip from former Acting Secretary of Homeland Security Chad Wolf to play for you in a recent interview, and I will get your response when we hear this clip. Go ahead.
When you talk about fentanyl or you talk about any type of drug crisis, obviously there's two parts of it. There's both the demand and the supply. And the supply is really, important to focus on because you got to understand where it's coming from. And in this case, when we talk about fentanyl, we talk about precursors coming from China to Mexico, and then we talk about the cartels kind of cooking it up there in Mexico and then illegally smuggling it across the border into the United States and the like. And so anytime that you have a human trafficking crisis, which we have along that border, right? When I talk about millions of people coming across that border, well, each one of those millions of people are paying upwards to $10,000, $20,000, or $30,000 in some cases to come across that border, which means those cartels are making more money today than they have ever made at any point in their history, which means they have more resources, they have more money to put back into their illicit business. And so they have the ability to make more and more fentanyl and to traffic more and more across the border. And that's what you're seeing, right?
Yeah.
And that fentanyl is obviously making it into most communities and most major cities and even small cities around the country. And we have upwards of 100,000 Americans dying every year because of it.
Wow. Go ahead, Brigitte.
It is very scary. It's scary for our children. It's scary for our grandchildren. It's scary for our loved ones because people are buying pills. Sometimes they are laced with fentanyl. They don't even know what they're buying. A lot of people now, because of the internet and because of the hard economy, think, I want to buy a little painkiller from the internet because it's much cheaper if I buy it in bulk instead of me going to the store and paying whatever, $10 for a little bottle of Tylenol. What people don't realize is you cannot trust what you're buying on the internet. And a lot of people are buying even pills laced with fentanyl. This is a criminal intent.
Yes.
I mean, this is intentionally trying to kill people in the United States and cause damage. It's a very dangerous problem. President Trump have talked about it repeatedly in his first administration. And I believe this is something that's going to be one of the main focus as soon as he gets into the White House. And look, the border problem is tied to so many problems in the country. You solve the border problem, you're going to solve a lot of problems. Look at the rape and the murder victims around the country with the crime rising. Women who are being raped and tortured before they are being raped and killed. Look at what's happening in the apartments in Colorado, for example, the gangs that are attacking people, renters in their homes. Look at the fentanyl problem. Look at the anti-police movement where criminals are on the street with the MS-13 gang, etc. Different gangs. It used to be only the MS-13 gang was our major problem. But now we've got the Venezuelan gangs. We've got gangs from all over the world who are organizing in the United States. Once you solve the border problem, you're going to see a lot of other problems disappear or become barely noticeable in our great country because we're going to cut off the source that's funneling whether criminals, people power into the United States, whether drugs imported into the United States or terrorism imported to the United States. And that's why President Trump ran on the border issue the first time as well as the second time. And this time, all of America believed that what President Trump was talking about has a base, has basis. That's why they voted for him. That's why we saw a lot of Democrat crossover, a lot of independent crossover, in a major way, far more than the previous election. That's why we saw the sweeping victory, because the American public of all stripes, Democrats, libertarians, middle of the road, conservatives, all realized we better get a gun behind the president who's going to protect us from those who are invading our country and bringing with them all sorts of things.
That's right. So on your website, on that page, Stop the Border Invasion, it says the Biden administration has created an unprecedented national security crisis, which should be declared the highest threat level as terrorists from every corner of the globe invade America. The cartels are so emboldened, they brazenly march across the border. They're armed with and dressed in full military uniforms, some of them. This is textbook definition of invasion. It's kind of like the Cloward-Piven strategy that the left has been trying to overwhelm the system. They started during the Obama administration, and now the Obama-Biden, my friend calls it the O'Biden-Harris administration. But Brigitte, there's a news link on your website that goes back to this article from last month. It links to this town hall article. Trump's border czar issues a warning to Democrat politicians pledging to shelter illegal aliens. We've been hearing about this story, and some of them are doubling down. They regardless of the damage that's been caused across the country, the fentanyl issues, the human trafficking, they're doubling down. They're going to shelter illegal aliens. So this is lawlessness, but your final thoughts on this, or your first thoughts on this before we run out of time.
Oh, they don't want to mess with Tom Homan. Tom Homan will come after them and he will enforce the law. And I want people to go to our website, actamerica.org, and click on Stop the Invasion and take action now. By taking action, we will already have your information. You will sign up. You'll be entered to receive our emails and action alerts so you can kill two birds with one stone. Go to actamerica.org, click on Take Action to Stop the Invasion, and let your elected officials hear from you and where you stand on the border issue. And let me tell you, we're going to bombard them. Our philosophy is this: if they're not going to see the light, we're going to make them feel the heat. And we need you to help us make them feel the heat.
And by the way, Tom Homan has also acknowledged that the breadth of that operation to secure the border largely depends on how much money Congress provides for it, particularly the wall, the southern border. And as you said at the top of this podcast, they have reconvened first week in January. We've got to put pressure on them, make sure, first of all, that the cabinet picks, get through, and also that they are not going to let up on this because the American people voted for this change.
Exactly.
Brigitte,
and one more point I want to make. I want our audience to understand the left right now is organizing and mobilizing by the millions to bombard Congress at the first week of January before Trump is even sworn in, to make sure they fight him on every single thing he wants to change. And that's why we want you engaged. Remember, they're working on overdrive right now. We cannot go to sleep. Go to actforamerica.org, take action on our Act Now campaigns, and become engaged and share our information with your friends.
That's right, friends. And remember Brigitte's books on Amazon bestsellers, New York Times bestsellers, I should say, and actforamerica.org. And if you missed the first podcast, go back and look that up where she tells her story. So much more we could discuss, but we appreciate your time, Brigitte. There it is. Boy, you guys are fast. The peaceful majority must fight to preserve freedom. So that was the title of our first podcast together several months ago. Brigitte, I appreciate the work you've done. I appreciate your voice and all that you've got on your website that can equip people. A lot of the hard work is done. People just have to go there and continue, friends, continue fighting the good fight and get involved. Well, this is going to be hopefully a happy new year for most of us, in a different direction now for America. Brigitte, how can we pray for you and Act for America?
Pray for safety and protection. We are fighting such a battle, and we are always attacked spiritually and in every way. You cannot believe the threats that we receive. So pray for favor, safety, and protection. We have a big battle coming up.
Amen. So protection for you. Many of our guests, also President Trump and his appointees, and just pray against the left. And I like the point that you made. They are mobilizing now. They're doubling down. They're not going to let up. Their worldview hasn't changed just because the outcome went for us, right? So Brigitte, Gabriel, God bless you, sister. Hopefully we'll do this again in the near future. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. And friends, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Thanks for supporting the show and for your prayers. God bless you. And as always, keep speaking the truth about things that matter.